10,000, 20,000. Where you got this kind of money? They use the $50 note, white backside also can one.
Remember, borrowing is also about interest, And because of borrowing, you can even tarnish your friendship as well.
Your parents how? Parents give parents give. Lucky you telling me like.
Hey guys, in case your parents watch.
1K.
BTOs. Can I afford car or do I have to take public transport? Cost of living. There is no doubt that all of these things weigh heavily on the minds of all of us here in Singapore. But as much as we like to complain, are we really doing enough to help ourselves? Let's find out how good we are with our finances. So what we have here, I want to ask you, how would you spend $10,000?
Okay.
So right here in my hand, I have $10,000. I'm going to pass it to you. Here you go.
Give more for my house. Probably more to the house. Then probably a bit more on investments.
Okay.
Jewelry. Jewelry must put more.
Hey.
Because if buy gold, my parents taught me that, if I were to buy gold, right, and then keep, maybe next time can sell better.
House, Singapore house very expensive, so need to put in house.
Travel and charity.
Wow, it's a very spread out across the board.
Yeah, not for the jewelry.
I think more on investments because times are very hard. So maybe investments can give you a bit more of returns. Yeah.
Keep some for travel.
Where you want to go?
My wife wants to go to Korea lah, but I'm not into Koreans.
Investment one more.
Wow,
and,
okay.
and give parents, got extra give parents,
Nice. So do you think you yourself, you're good with your finances?
No.
Not so. I mean, so lah.
I got a very important question for you. How come you didn't put anything in investment?
Investments risky lah, because that's why I asked just now whether can put, is it bank or not, because if bank, at least I won't lose the money.
So investments, I think probably you need to be a bit more prudent and you need to be wise. What are you investing? And then you need to do your background research a little bit. Okay, just because somebody is telling you to go and invest, you just don't go invest.
As a young person yourself, right, what are some of the financial worries that you think about or you have in your head?
Being stable, and also of course, for some reason I think about houses, because in Singapore houses are really expensive.
Hi, my name is Jia Shen. I'm 30. I'm a wealth expert at SIFE.
Hi, my name is Hayden. I'm 28 and I'm a wealth expert at SIFE. So I think for new investors especially, they may think that starting is difficult because investing itself, it's a chore, it's very complex. In my opinion, I think that investing can be as complex as you want it to be, but it can also be as simple as you want it to be.
For example, like a client in their 20s, okay, they could be looking at a SIFE Equity 100, which is the more aggressive portfolio at SIFE. Okay, so this will give them 100% exposure into equities, and given the fact that equities are likely to still outperform your bonds, being in this portfolio for the long term, they will be able to reap the benefits of staying invested.
So people in their 30s can also start to have more specific goals, or rather investment strategies to match those goals that they have. Because in their 30s, clearly there are more responsibilities, such as funding for their children's education and housing. So these are specific areas or specific objectives of which they can have a specific investment targeted to fulfill those goals.
So for investors who are approaching their retirement, like their 40s, their 50s, we would suggest clients to take on a less risky portfolio. Okay, they could potentially move more into safer asset classes such as bonds, even though stocks still hold a very important allocation in terms of a portfolio diversification. Okay, but overall we do suggest clients to slowly move down their equity allocation and to increase their bonds component.
What are some misconceptions that you've heard about investing? Like people say, oh, investment, don't do that because blah blah blah. What have you heard?
So I've heard about investment like, hey, please do your research first. Maybe this is a con man job, People who have only a meager sum of money, probably they want to give for rainy day. Probably, I think, shrewd savings, being very frugal about your savings, I think is very, very important. Rather than always asking for people borrowing and all that. Remember, borrowing is also about interest, And because of borrowing, borrowing, you can even tarnish your friendship as well.
So you think that there needs to be a substantial amount of money before you start investing, is it?
Yeah, definitely. Because I see all investors, that they invest like a few thousand, 10,000, 20,000. Where you got this kind of money on?
So I think many people have the impression that investing is for the rich. You need like huge amounts of money before they can start investing. You know, one will need to have a finance degree, but I don't think that that's true, right? There are many like investment platforms out there whereby there is no minimum amount for clients to start off. I think many people have like the dream of hitting like the 1 million mark, right? So do you know that if you were to invest at $1,000 per month, aka at a compounding rate of 7% per annum for the next 30 years, you would actually have reached that goal. I think people should be looking at platforms like Syfe to start investing with, okay? Because I think, you know, it's really simple, fast free for them to get started. They really do not need to go through like the time and effort of selecting investments. Most of our clients, they have daytime jobs. They do not have additional bandwidth to, you know, do their due diligence for their investments.
On our platform, we actually have a Syfe Select feature, which provides the investors with the flexibility to choose and invest in what they believe in. So this is where we come in. After you have chosen your portfolio, you have invested into it, we'll do the rest of the work for you. At the same time, this is also a very low costing way for investors to invest. For the portfolios that we have, they're very diversified.
At the end of the day, I do think that, you know, it is a very cost-effective way for clients to start investing as well.